From the beautiful Capistrano Valley Performing Arts Center, it's Breakfast with Gary and Kelly, with today's special guest, Ottmar Liebert. And now, Gary and Kelly.
It's a voice and bond.
It really was. That's the birthday boy, Don James. Actually.
Yes, it was. Hi, everybody.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I feel like Zach. Hi, everybody.
I know, exactly. Zach-a-boy, exactly.
How
We're
fun.
so glad to be back with you guys and thrilled that you're here with us again in this spectacular theater. And we are really honored to have this gentleman as a guest today. He is doing what is, I guess, kind of his annual zip through Southern California, including the
tour.
shows tonight and tomorrow night at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano. We were able to convince him to get up very early, very, very early, to drive down here and join us this morning from his show last night in Agoura Hills.
We're so
This guy
excited.
is a six-time Grammy Award nominee. He's got at least 11 platinum and 11 certified gold album sales in the U.S. alone, and more than that overseas and all around the world.
And his music is just
Spectacular. There's nobody like him.
passionate, sensual.
This is the latest effort, Waiting in Swan, with a lot of Bob Marley stuff in here, as you can imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ottmar Liebert. Ottmar Liebert. Good morning. Thank you for being here. We're going to take a break and come back
Thank you.
and chat with Ottmar. Stick around here on Breakfast with Gary and Kelly.
Don't go away. Wow. Right here.
Kelly, a 9-month hiatus, coming back to the Capital Valley High School and doing this live on the radio and on alerttheglobe.com. And we appreciate you sticking around. My name is Kevin Melvin, helping out here in the back. KSBR's Rob Ballinger directing traffic. And as soon as we get Ottmar Liebert in the interview chair, we will be live with him. It's looking at about 30 seconds from now. So stick around. You can always check us out on alerttheglobe.com. And if you want to know anything that's going on with the television show, go to ksbr.org. We are your local Orange County station. Back in 30 seconds.
KSBR supporters include Saddleback College, presenting Saddleback College Arts, featuring live art exhibits, theatrical productions, music performances, and more. Saddleback College fosters an environment of creative expression. Learn more at saddleback.edu/arts.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Wow.
Welcome
Yep.
back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. Dude, thanks for getting up so early. This is
No
not, I
problem.
know, this is not what your favorite thing in the world to do any of this, much less getting up early to come and talk to people. But, you know, this is,
Plus, we had a late gig last night. It started at 9, so we didn't get to the hotel until after midnight.
yeah.
But that's all right.
At least, you know, it's early, the early thing.
I
when
found
you-
coffee. That was good.
Amen. Amen. That's right. And the early ride, you missed the traffic
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
most
There you
part.
go.
So good. Well, you're used to, you know, Southern California. I mean,
You know,
this is
my
how
dad
it is.
worked in a factory for 12 hours a day, my grandfather, so I think I've got it easy.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Nothing, what is it? The old tune. It ain't working. That's the way to, you know. But tell us about your childhood. I'd like to hear about you know.
Well, I think something that really made a deep impression on my music is that I never really felt like I belonged in one place, you know, just particularly, because I've got a whole bunch of different nationalities in me. So
Your mother was Chinese, is that?
my dad's part Chinese and my mom's
okay.
part Hungarian, so it's like a whole mix of things. And I think that actually really helped because I felt like I can take whatever I want. I can take something from here and something from there. I can mix it up and have fun with it. Yeah. And actually the new album is part of that because I discovered there's a group of rhythms in flamenco called tangos flamenco, and it has nothing to do with tango, which is an Argentinian thing. This is tangos and
Say it again. I'm sorry.
tangos.
Tangos. Okay.
From the island of Tonga?
No, it actually probably is
But I
I
don't
don't know
guess.
that word when a word is supposed to sound like a sound.
Okay.
Tangos is supposed to be like the sound of a drum.
Ah.
And I think in South America and Brazil, it's still, you know, people dancing is called tangos. So they now know that it probably came from the Caribbean hundreds of years ago with the sailors back to Spain. I mean, not back to Spain, to Cadiz, and then because it was pretty infectious rhythm, it made its way down to Andalusia, and there people turned it into flamenco. But basically the root of reggae and flamenco and also salsa is the same. So it's probably a section of Africa where that all came from, came to the Caribbean, turned into these different branches of that tree, but basically it avoids the beat one. So, da 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 da.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And reggae is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Da, da, da,
Didn't you grew up on reggae, right? Or
I
you
listened a
followed?
lot to reggae. I thought Bob Marley was like the greatest thing.
Oh yeah.
Ever.
Oh yeah. You were like the guy that was not big on the Beatles, right? Just didn't.
Yeah, I think in the mid-'70s,
Well, I
you know,
wasn't.
Bob
that's
Marley
okay.
was
Yeah.
fresh,
that's true.
Earth, Wind and Fire was fresh, and
Yeah,
to me
right.
it's like the Beatles, that's like
Yeah.
old hat.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a lot of their stuff, but at the time it was just
Yeah.
not.
The stuff that really got
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
that grabbed your
Yeah.
soul.
The first concert I ever went to was amazing. I went to see Santana in
Oh, boy, there's a great way to
75.
start it.
There you go.
There's a great way
Okay.
to start it.
There was an opening act. I didn't know about it, and then suddenly the lights went out, and they said earth, wind, and fire.
wow.
And when they said fire, there were like flames going up 20 feet.
yeah.
And I'm like, holy moly! I'm 15 or 16.
right.
You know, it blew me away.
That's a heck of a lineup. That's a great show, man.
And you know, after that, I've never seen an opening act with 2 or 3 encores. We just wouldn't
Yeah.
let them go. It was like we'd never seen anything like it. You know,
Where was this?
in Cologne, Germany.
Yeah.
And they do this thing where they run around the stage. I had never seen
Yeah.
wireless instruments. They're running behind the stage curtain, come back out this way, and the drums go up in the air and turn around. He must have had a seatbelt or something.
Now, wait a minute.
Seriously,
Okay, but
75.
but that influenced you. And look at, I mean, you
I
couldn't
know.
be
Wait a
any
minute.
stripped down but
It-
more than that. You
he
know,
Well, yeah,
started.
but when you
we'll
think
duct
about it,
tape you to the chair and we'll spin you around a little bit. How's that?
I need to practice that.
Well, you started at about 11, is that right? You started playing music? Now, I read somewhere in your bio that you went to rock and roll for a few.
Well,
Right.
A little bit. And so you
I did.
played
I lived in
some-
Boston for 7 years and
what
tried to
got
do
you to
rock and roll.
Boston?
I went to check out Berklee College of Music, and it just didn't appeal to me.
Really?
So I
Yeah.
saved a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And instead, you know, I'm really into just doing something and learning
Yeah.
from that actual doing. So I had saved up a little bit in case I wanted to go to the school, and instead I bought some studio time and just started making records.
And those early ones were you were still kind of
Oh yeah, raw.
rock and roll stuff.
Pretty raw stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'd go to banks and lie. Because if you say to a bank, I want some money for a studio, they'll say no. If you say, oh, I want to buy a refrigerator, or I want to buy, you know, a stereo system. Okay, here he goes. So we'd say, I need to buy a stereo. We'll get the money and go, hey, what's the studio rate if I come in at midnight? Oh, okay, I'll do that.
That's your studio.
So then I was working during the day, basically, and at night we'd go to the studio.
What kind of knowledge did you have when you walked into the studio the first time of that whole process?
Just what I'd read, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew what I liked, and it's something that you know, I've recently gone over all of the Bob Marley records, and I love the way they're produced, because a lot of the early the rock and roll in those days was sort of jammed into the middle, almost like a mono thing. And he would do one keyboard way on the right, and then one guitar way on the left, and it gave you this amazing widescreen experience. But I should tell you this one thing. I was working as a bank teller to make a living while I was playing at night and recording. And one night the manager said, could you stay for a few minutes afterwards? I want to talk to you. I'm like, did I do something wrong?
Yeah, really.
The loan, maybe?
Yeah, this can't be
Different
good.
bank.
Yeah,
I made
right.
sure it was a different
Yeah,
bank.
we want to see this stereo you bought.
Right.
Yeah.
So he says to me, we've been watching you and we want to put you in, you know, you should go to banking college. And I said to him, I can't afford that. And he said, no, we'll take care of it.
Really?
We would like you to consider a career in banking. We'll pay for college. And I had like this whole thing, my life, like in 30 seconds, flashing in front of my eyes. So I remember.
And when he got to the part with the station wagon and the 11 kids,
No, you know what I said to him? Thanks for the offer, but I'm a musician with a day job, not a banker with a hobby.
oh, good.
Oh,
And I
that's
quit.
Awesome.
Yeah, wow.
I like that.
And then the
That's great.
only job I could think of holding where there was no upward mobility was bicycle messenger. I did that in Boston for 3 years. I got great
Yeah,
legs.
where do you go? You go from there if you get you
Well,
get
you work when
promoted
you
to
want.
Vespa.
You work when you want, right? You take
Well, that's the
jobs.
other thing. You feel a little hungover from a long studio session, and you just
You don't
go in
have
at
to-
10, you
Yeah,
know.
it's like
Studio
whatever.
sessions will give you hangovers? I did not know that.
Well, you know.
Have you obviously really trust that inner voice you have. I mean, have you always
I'm
been like
stubborn.
that? Well, there's that too.
You know,
That's
I had
another way
this
of
thing,
looking-
if I don't have a recording contract by 20, I'll give up. And at 20, I was like, okay, 25. At 25, I was like, 27. And then I finally got it at age 30. So I think part of it is just I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
My first record company said, okay, you have to move to LA and you have to change your name. Nobody's going to remember Ottmar Liebert. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going home. You know?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
And that guy's working in the bank now, by the way.
Probably.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that something? But I mean, you didn't doubt. I mean, there's more than just stubbornness. I mean, you've got to know inside someplace.
I just had such a good time doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you always been like that? Do you remember? I mean, as a little kid, did you know when you were little what you wanted to do?
For a long time, I actually went to an art high school, so I studied like design and art and that sort of thing, and it's sort of the same thing.
It is.
And
the math too, for that matter.
sure.
The
I was just
banking,
going to say,
you know?
he must have
Yeah.
been really good at math.
I was the best in my class.
I know,
Yeah.
to be a banker.
But what happened is that, you know, I left after school. I went to Asia for a year, and I traveled a lot. And just this way of meeting somebody, and whether they were from Colombia or whether it was in India or Hong Kong, you picked up a guitar, you made some music, even if you didn't understand the other person, the language. You know, most people speak a little English. But sometimes I couldn't understand what they were saying. You'd make some music and something came out, you know, something happened. And I think that's I was 19 at the time. I decided this is what I want to do.
We were
This
just
is
talking
great.
about that, how music is the universal language
Absolutely.
all over the world.
They're discovering, there's so many scientific discoveries that music actually helps the language centers in the brain, and now they discover that there's actually several portions of the brain that specifically respond to music. And then last year it came out that when you measure brain waves of musicians in a room, after a while they actually synchronize.
Really?
Which is what we call, you know, being in the groove.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's all just theory. Now they can see, you know, oh my God, after
technology.
so many minutes or hours, they sync up.
That is
Wild,
so
right?
incredible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I think we'll discover that, I mean, music was probably our first language.
Yeah.
You know.
That's interesting.
Wow.
It really is.
That's
so
exciting.
so walk me through your transition from seeing Earth, Wind and Fire and Santana, who is so phenomenally spiritual and that great stuff, and then you getting to this acoustic place.
Well, in '86, I moved to Santa Fe, and a friend of mine, I didn't have an acoustic guitar at all.
The
I
move to
hadn't had
Santa
one.
Fe was brought on by.
A friend of mine was from there, and he was moving back to Santa Fe, and he said, you know, you should go to Santa Fe. And I'm like, it's a little town. What am I doing there?
Yeah.
And I helped him drive a van back with his belongings, and I stayed there for a while. I was like, the first time I went on one of the peaks, and I could see for 100 miles into the distance, it was just liberating, because I've always lived in cities, so there's always another, you know, barrier, another house or something. So just that being able to see for that far just was sort of like, here, what do you want to do? And he had a guitar, and I just started playing it and feeling like this is, you know, because I started out on a classical guitar. And it just felt, you know, you're not playing with a pick. It's just so much more immediate for me. And then I literally saw an ad in the paper, started playing in restaurants, and then just slowly built it up.
Who called you for that Miles Davis?
I have no idea. I've been lucky. That was in 1990. We opened for Miles Davis. And it's so funny because the whole band, my whole band was so into him. And everybody, we like tried to stay away because there's so many, you had heard so many things. He doesn't want interference or anything. And of course, that was the day I'm like leaving to go back to the hotel, and I see him surrounded by fans, signing stuff, laughing, and I'm like, I could have gone there and said something.
Oh my goodness!
So you don't
But
remember?
I did tour with Carlos for about 3 months in '96, and I did have him sign the first vinyl album I got for Christmas.
Oh, Wonderful.
Yeah, and he signed it. And that was one of those moments where you go, oh my God, the way life turns back on itself.
Yeah.
You know, here I was, we would open, we'd play for like 45 minutes, then he would go on with his band, and then about half an hour into their show, he'd call my whole band up, and we'd play stuff like Samba Pati, some of the hits, and some other stuff. And it's like, wow, I'm about to go up there, and the first concert I went to, that was it.
Oh,
So it was pretty
phenomenal.
cool.
I mean, that's got to. What do you take away from being out with a guy like that? I mean, he is just such a special guy. Forget the music. His life story is so phenomenal. And we know a couple of people that are very good friends. Alex Leisurwood, who sang with him for a long time, and just everybody that has come in contact with him, just is special. I mean, what does he do? What did that do to you? Can you even say?
I don't know how you'd put it in words. The anecdotes that come up actually don't have anything to do with it. We're playing
had a
at
lot
this
of fun.
huge outdoor venue, and there is a noise ordinance, so it's kept at a certain volume, which was incredibly loud anyway,
of
right,
course.
for me.
Yeah.
And this drunk, because an outdoor concert, alcohol is served, and this guy goes, turn it up. And the guy goes, no, I can't. Turn it up. No, I can't. He poured the whole beer of it. You could actually
my
see
God.
sparks coming out. They had to use a different, luckily we had our console there. We had to
my
search a bunch of
God.
stuff. Wow.
Nice.
I'd rather do the smaller shows.
Yeah, right.
Plus, there's this thing when you're in a 15,000 seater, they really all look alike.
Yeah.
You start doing that Spinal Tap thing. Where are we? What is this?
Well, I think for the most part you're safe here, except maybe for that guy. I'm a little concerned about him, but we're gonna take a break, and if you don't mind, we're gonna put you to work.
All right.
All right. So stick around here, Ottmar Liebert on Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. We'll be right back. Or so, we will have Ottmar Liebert in the chair performing a couple of songs. And if you want to watch it live, you can go to alerttheglobe.com, or you can stay right here on KSBR and listen to it over the radio and then catch it later on alerttheglobe.com. It is a great Saturday, a great time to be back on the air and doing this Breakfast with Gary and Kelly TV radio show. It's been 9 months, and man, we are glad to be back. 45 seconds from now, we'll have Ottmar Liebert in the chair.
We'll return to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly in just a moment. But first, if you live in South Orange County, you could watch us on Saddleback College TV, Channel 39, on the Cox Communication Systems several times a week. In other parts of California, we're on the Charter Communications cable systems several times a week. And all of our past shows are available anytime online. Just go to YouTube and search for Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, too. Our Breakfast with Gary and Kelly Facebook page has loads of pictures from past shows and info on our upcoming shows, too. Now, back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly.
Welcome back, everybody, to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. We're spending a fun morning here with Ottmar Liebert, and this is the latest thing, Waiting in Swan. And this is the latest thing too. This is Ottmar right here. We're gonna get a little something out of it. What are we gonna hear?
I wanted to play something older. This is from '93. This is called Snake Drummer.
Oh,
Ooh,
beautiful.
lovely.
Ottmar.
Yay.
Outstanding. It's Ottmar Liebert, everybody. Here at Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. We're going to chat some more.
Don't go away.
Stick around here with Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. Outstanding, man.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
I was mesmerized. Mesmerized.
Please make plans to join me each Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. for Bob Goodman's Whole 'Nother Thing. Each Saturday, I handcraft a mosaic of the various musical formats featured on KSBR. Usually during the 5 p.m. hour, I feature 60 minutes of a selected artist, including many tunes not heard anywhere in a long, long time, or perhaps not at all. This Saturday, February 13th, we'll revisit a group comprised of very talented tunesmiths and vocalists known for their tongue-in-cheek art pop songs, 10cc. With quite a few hits to their credit, 10cc's members were Eric Stewart, formerly of the Mindbenders, the songwriting team of Godley and Cream, and Graham Gouldman, who wrote quite a few top 10 hits during the British invasion. If you only know one or two tunes, then you're in for a treat. So don't forget, Saturdays at 3, it's a whole nother thing with Bob Goodman. It could be the best 3 hours you'll spend each week.
Like walking in the
We'll return to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly in just a moment. But first, we'd love to have you as part of our studio audience. We don't actually serve breakfast, of course, but we do have coffee and loads of fun. Seating is free, and you will love our new home at the Capistrano Valley Performing Arts Center. You can find out about our upcoming shows at ksbr.org, as well as on our Breakfast with Gary and Kelly Facebook page. That's where you could sign up to be part of our audience. When you submit your name, we'll reserve a spot for you and a guest to join us for the very next show. That's all there is to it. Now, back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly.
Welcome back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly, everybody, with Ottmar Liebert. Nice. What a fun morning, man. We're just chatting about how much we dig this room too. We're lucky to be here. And the new CD. Explain what "Waiting in Swan" means. It's N, the letter N.
Yeah, it's Creolese, and so basically it just means waiting and so on.
Ah, okay.
You know, like
Okay.
Guan is go on, Swan is and so on.
So it's pretty much exactly what you were doing after your sound check for 2 hours this morning, then.
Right.
Just sitting there cooling your heels.
You know, I wrote a bunch of articles that were sort of done after Rilke, who did the letters to a young poet, and I for this magazine I wrote a bunch of articles about how to be a musician, and for one of the first things I said, that you have to play your instrument well is understood, but there are other things that you need to be able to do, and that's one of the biggest ones is waiting. Wait for sound check, wait for load in, wait for the performance, wait for load out, wait for the hotel. You're spending hours waiting for your hotel room, airports.
Are you good at all that stuff?
Yeah, I can sit, I can
He's chill, man.
Yeah, see?
Look at this
I
photo.
walk a lot too, so airports are fine. I'm going like this,
There you
back
go.
and forth.
There you
I
go.
love this photo.
I do too.
What,
I do
what
too.
were you thinking, or where were you when they took
He was thinking, how much longer am I going to be waiting?
No, you look so peaceful.
Well, this was actually easy. Greg Gorman, the great photographer, is a friend of mine. So he was teaching a class in Santa Fe, and he called me, I think, that morning and said, look, I want to come down. I want to show the class lighting and how to work with somebody. And so I just went down there with my guitar and
It's a great
sat,
trade-off.
and it's like no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah.
And
Nice shot.
we needed a picture, and then actually the whole picture was larger, had the guitar on it, and was in color, but I wanted it to be in black and white for this.
I don't know why this just popped into my head, but there was a thing now about taking guitars on airplanes, or musicians, not just
Right.
guitars, but that will help a little bit. Huh? Explain to people that don't know the nightmare that is.
Well, it's a total nightmare if you can't hold on to your guitar, but I've had some help. About 15, 16 years ago, a pilot told me the kind of case to get.
Oh,
And
okay.
he said
well,
it
there you
fits
go.
almost everywhere. And then it's made in Croatia out of carbon fiber, and it takes like 3 months before you get it. But
Really?
It is literally really small, and it fits in just about every overhead. And then when I fly international, I have to either beg or be charming or I have a few options.
Get chocolate. Get chocolate. Chocolate works.
That's never worked for me.
Really? It works for me every single time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You say here.
I give some chocolate and they go, oh, you want to go up? Here's free champagne. Here's this. Here's that. Oh, yeah, get some
I
chocolate.
gotta travel with you somewhere.
Yeah.
That's like, wow.
No, I seriously.
She's not kidding, it does.
Oh, seriously.
It's true.
I've been lucky, but it definitely, the panic strikes when you like, or suddenly it's a much smaller plane and there is no overhead, there is no place, and you have to trust somebody with it.
Tell us about your instrument here. I mean, and I'm assuming you've got a good, healthy collection of... No,
I'm
really?
not a collector. I have a lot of friends who have hundreds of guitars, and I have 2 flamenco guitars, 1 electric, and a steel string.
Really?
That's it. Yeah. Oh no, I have a 5th one. It's a lutar.
A lutar.
A friend of mine invented it, but in flamenco, people are using a lot the oud, which is the Arabic instrument that probably was the grandfather of the lute. But the neck is so different that he said one time, like 20 years ago, he said, why don't I build you a guitar that's fretless and has double coarse strings? That way you don't have to get used to a different neck. You already know, all the distances between everything. And that's a great instrument.
We met a guy at NAMM who is a spectacular player, Trevor Gordon Hall, who has got, and he was working with Martin, and they affixed a kalimba to the guitar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's really cool. I mean, and he's playing both, and
What's
it's
he
it's
called
down
now,
in the
the
lower
guitar
part of the
limbo?
body, and he's it's interesting. You should
There's a
check him out.
guy in Santa Fe who's very proud of. He I think that instrument is called the guido, that fish-like instrument that has like the. You go like.
In my old neighborhood, Guidos were something different, but I know what you mean.
Right.
Yeah, right.
He glued one on his guitar so he can play with a pick and go.
Oh, nice, nice.
Nerdy, if you ask
Yeah.
me.
I just love that flamenco effect, though, the way that you do that with your hand. I'm sorry, I'm not a guitarist.
You're doing really
obviously.
well.
But you hit the guitar
We can
at
go
the same
straight
time,
to the second lesson.
And like you do the drums, so
Right.
yeah. So may I, your hand?
Do you like my nail polish?
I do, and I just wondered because there's 2 black
There is
ones.
a crazy glue. This is crazy glue and acrylic powder.
Okay, and then the 2 black
And then
ones.
there's just some nail polish on it.
Is there a
'cause I
reason why they're black?
No, I'm experimenting with it. It seems to hold even longer.
Gel nails are good too, you know.
What are those?
They're the.
Well, the problem
I'll
is.
be right with you.
Here's
I'll be right with you.
Yeah, right.
Here's the
They
problem.
make
if I,
them stronger.
Right, but here's the
Without
thing.
messing up your nails.
If I even use acrylic powder with acrylic solution, it sticks too much to it. I can't get it off.
Exactly.
If there is a little bit of air that at some
Right.
point develops
Then
underneath,
you'll get the
changes
fungus.
the sound.
Oh, ooh.
Really?
Well, I was gonna say then you get
So
a
I need
fungus too.
I
so-
need to be able to take it off. And with
Okay.
crazy glue, it's not quite as crazy. I can just take it off.
Check out gel nails. You might like them.
Maybe sparkles.
that would
Are
be
you want something to jot some of this down? You're good.
I mean, I like the gel
I was
nails.
looking for flat black, but they don't have.
You know.
It looks good
See,
though.
there we go. We'll come out with your own line.
Well, yeah, nails
should
for
see-
men, right?
Yeah,
I figured
exactly.
if this guitar thing is not working out, I'm opening a little guitar
Talk
nail
to Steve
salon.
Oliver. You know what? Talk to Steve Oliver because he's got.
right.
You should see his right hand.
Oh, yeah?
He has pointers.
Ew.
They're like pointy, like poof.
What is he like looking for a fighter?
Exactly. I don't know.
But he doesn't use a pick, so he
Yeah, I
uses
don't use a
pointed.
pick.
No, that's
I know,
what
but
he's
his is
doing.
pointers. Just
I don't know. He also
Takes all kinds.
Yeah, it
right?
really does. It really
you
does.
could have a nail salon.
Tell me about your studio. I've got to think that the change in what's happened to the music industry in the last 15 years or so kind of plays right into your.
Well,
I mean, in some ways.
I made the right decision. I didn't like buy a fancy car. I built a studio.
Yeah.
And that was the right thing to do because I did it in '94. So I've had my own studio. I've recorded a lot of albums there since then. if I had to hire a regular studio now and pay musicians, I wouldn't be able to do as many records as I'm doing. I'm able to do that with the way the business has become because I engineer myself and I've got my own studio. So right there, my cost is basically only hiring a few musicians.
Yeah. That's good. I have this vision of you though, especially having access to it, just taking advantage of it. You hit, a mood strikes and you're able to go in there and just bang it out. Huh?
Yeah, it's about 100 feet from my house.
Oh, beautiful.
So I can just walk over there.
Beautiful.
Do you get like an inspiration in like 3 o'clock in the morning and get up and go?
I try not to. I need some sleep.
See, there you go. That's very sensible.
Yeah.
Well, how do you get?
sensible.
I mean, do you? Cause
I don't have a system. I mean, you hear about authors that sit down from like 9 to 11, and then they have this kind of drink, and then at 1 o'clock they work for another 2 hours. I can't do that. I've had songs where I actually sit down and I really work hard. I've had other songs where I wake up and like, I dreamt this thing. Let me get the guitar, and the whole song is there. I dreamt it. Wow. So I don't have a system. But the interesting thing is, even if I work at it afterwards, I wonder, where did that come from? I have no idea. I really don't.
Somebody's going to find the answer to that someday. Or not.
Sure.
But boy.
But it's more fun if you don't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. You are, tell us about you're a Zen monk? Is that?
The stuff they put on Wikipedia, I had nothing to do with that.
No, I understand. But is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
What does it mean?
Well, Zen monks are different. There's a funny story with that. The Zen...
That doesn't sound like the kind of thing that would have a funny story
It
associated
is a
with it.
funny story. Now, check
Check
this out. This is about human nature. This is very captivating. Zen Buddhist monasteries had become very powerful in Japan, and the emperor was wondering how he could, lessen their power. And so he came up with, henceforth, there's a decree from the emperor that Zen monks are now allowed to get married.
Well, that'll slow you down.
It totally slowed them down. It did exactly that. So suddenly they were in relationships, they were involved, and forgot all about all the martial stuff they were doing and all the other things. So literally, I think if you're like a Southeast Asian monk, you have like 250 rules. We have 16, and not being with a woman is not one of them.
Well, see.
There you
There's actually a number of musicians that I know are Zen Buddhists. There's a whole few of them.
Interesting.
A whole slew of
Interesting.
them. And it's interesting, when I did my first session is like an intense practice period where you meditate for 6 to 8 hours a day. And after the first day, people were asking, how is it? How does it feel? Is it okay? And I said, I'm a musician. I'm used to sitting. I'm used to practicing. I'm used to
It really does seem
concentrating. It's really not a big step.
Did that have anything to do with the walk that you went on to?
That happened afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did.
Is that all part of that?
Well, it was the same community. A friend of mine is a Zen master in Santa Fe, and she has, since I think the 80s or 70s, actually gone to Tibet or Nepal, to that area, once a year, and she brings a whole bunch of doctors that donate their time because there's nothing there, in terms of health care. So she brings doctors and she gets donations of, medications and things like that, and goes up there and does free clinics. And one year she said, you should come, you'll be crowd control. I'm like, how? And she said, bring your guitar. And I said, I'm not bringing my guitar. There's a 6-year waiting list for one of these things. But let me buy one in China, right? So
Sure. You probably get one there that looks very much like this one.
The shape, and it has 6 strings, that's about
Right,
it.
well, yeah, right. It looks like it.
But
yeah.
check this out. So in Chengdu, I take a kid from the hotel, takes me to the street where all the instruments are being sold. And I find this instrument that doesn't sound bad, and it's like, $100 or something. And there's no sign inside. You know how you look inside a guitar and it says who the maker is?
Yeah, right.
And I said to
Most of the time.
Yeah, I said to him, there's no maker in here. Why is that? Can you ask them? And they said, oh, there's a law in Spain. If we send it to them without the thing in it, they get to put theirs in it. So look out. If you buy a guitar in Spain for $700, it may be one that you can get in Chengdu for $150. So I played it for like 6 weeks on this trip, and then afterwards I gave it to one of the Tibetans that was with us, who was really into it. Yeah.
How fun.
The world's changed a lot, hasn't it? It's unbelievable.
Well, it changes, and some things don't change. Human nature is always the same.
Do you have? I don't know if I even know how to word this. Do you have expectations or hope that your music affects change, or are you just letting what's inside of you come out?
Well, I think I definitely have like a large romantic inside me. I think that music will change things, even if it's incremental and even if it's in a very small way. You know, I'm willing to play for anybody, no matter what their affiliation or, thinking is, because I'm of the hope that, if you hear something, it just softens you up a little bit.
Well, it is.
I mean, the thing is, anybody that has people that have these anti-Arabic sentiments, and they come to my concert, there's a lot of flamenco that's Arabic.
Yeah.
It's basically Arabic music. In fact, if you want to, I can tell the audience, there is a website I made. It's at ottmarliebert.com/rose. There's a whole album that's free to download. It's called Under the Rose, and I recorded it with Rahim Al-Hajj, who's an Iraqi oud player, studied in Baghdad and now lives in Albuquerque, and with Barrett Martin and John Gagan. And it's a fabulous album. But it shows you the whole Arabic thing. And Rahim, had this thing. I would play like a 12/8 flamenco rhythm, and he'd look at me like this, and that's an Arabic rhythm too, right? I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, your music definitely is passionate. It's sensual.
Thank you.
And I've noticed this is the second time that in 2 years that you've been back to the Coach House around Valentine's Day. And so I know that you probably have a lot of couples that come and they celebrate Valentine's Day. My question is to you is, because it is a romantic type of music, have you had anybody come up to you like years down the road and say, thanks, Ottmar, we made a baby, or anything like that? this child was made, or whatever, something to that effect?
Meet our son, Snake Charmer.
There are a few Ottmars out there.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard,
Little juniors, huh?
Yeah. I get that a lot, yeah.
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 Yeah, we don't get that at all. So anyway.
Well, it is. It's very romantic.
No, I think
mean, get the
it's
wine
great.
going in the fireplace and listen to you.
It's
and,
weird
And
how
these
that
people over here
happens.
better knock it off, or we're going to have a problem. But no, that's no, I'm kidding.
It's that side of it, but then there's a lot of surgeons that work to my music.
Oh,
Doctors.
is that right?
Yeah. There was one place that was, I think in Florida, where this guy, he was a surgeon at the local hospital. He bought 25 for all his colleagues of the CDs, because he's like, we're all working to Ottmar.
Well, that's better than having your appendix out to Spike Jones, I'll tell you that. That's
A Metallica.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds awful, doesn't it? We are. This is fun. This is good. We're gonna take a break though, and we would love to have you do another song.
All right.
It's gone so fast.
Stick around. Your Breakfast with Gary and Kelly with Ottmar Liebert.
Breakfast with Gary and Kelly this morning. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you've been with us all 3 hours and you've enjoyed our return to television, 9-month hiatus. It looks like the Alert the Globe folks are going to make this possible for us going forward. You can check us out on alerttheglobe.com, and of course
Hi, I'm JJ Buchanan.
And I'm Don James, co-host of the Blend Radio Show.
Join us Saturday nights at 6 for a musical blend of some of the world's biggest artists like U2, Coldplay, Tom Petty,
And Orange County's rising stars like Irvine's Reach the Summit, Laguna Beach's Shayna Stabler, and San Juan Capistrano's Philip Vanderbilt. Join us Saturday nights for great music and a great time.
Global and local, it's the Blend Radio Show, Saturday nights at 6 on FM 88.5 KSBR.
Welcome back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly, everybody. By the way, before I forget, we have our little intern down here who is, her mother has made her come to this show so many times, and she was actually on the cooking segment once. Megan is here. It was her birthday yesterday, and we're glad to have you here, and thanks for helping.
Happy
And it's
birthday.
nice to see, yeah. And Ottmar Liebert is here. This has really been a fun,
Amazing.
a fun morning, and we're grateful to you for coming and give us another song. What are we going to hear?
I think I'll make something up.
Okay,
Better yet.
good job.
Better yet. Perfect.
Awesome.
Ottmar Liebert, everybody. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Really fun. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so
The new release,
much.
Waiting in Swan. He's at the Coach House tonight and tomorrow night. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time on Breakfast with Gary and Kelly.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you. You know what I wanted to do?
Everybody, Ottmar Liebert,
We were doing that.
Gary and Kelly.
Woo! Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So,
Can you do
Don't
one more?
go running off.
Can you do a little encore for
Do
me?
not go running
Can you
off.
Can you squeeze one more? One more line?
So this is a tradition on the Gary and Kelly TV show. After the TV cameras go dark and we're off the radio, we always ask them to play one more. You got one more in you? We appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Ottmar Liebert. Hey, stick around. We're going to do the raffle as soon as we're done. Thanks again.
Ottmar.
Stick around. We're going to do the raffle right now.